Okay, well, thanks very much for coming here. So many people, it's a delight to see that. I'm not three persons, don't worry about it. I'm the last one here, and very modestly I have to say I'm the program manager. Yeah, I'm not the lead technician. Hans-Jörg is here, grab him. We have also other folks here, Björn Nagel, who's the one on the Volta and OLT, who can talk much more about that. I'm just a program manager, but I can sell things. That's why I'm here, perhaps.
You're the most important one.
I have good news and I have bad news for you. The bad news is most of the slides are known already. The good news is DT still sticks to their plan. And I think this is something very important. I think it was on the layer 1, 2, 3 last year when we announced quite a bold plan, at least in DT terms. Yeah, others may laugh about it. But we still stick to that plan, and I'm very proud of that. And this perhaps is the differentiating factor in here. Good. So this is a quick agenda. I believe let's take something like 20 minutes. Should give you some room for questions, if there are any. This is the agenda. Just a quick recap. I will browse over that in 2 minutes or so. Talk about the achievements, some special highlights where we say we perhaps bring a little more to the party than just a reference design. I was just in a panel discussion in the room over there. So the question was on open source. What differentiates DT? What is not going to come to the open source community? I will mention something here on special highlights and next steps, of course. So Access 4.0, when we started off, 2.5 years almost, yeah. The picture is known already. But this last sentence, this is our vision, and we still stick to it. And everything, what we do, we measure against this sentence. Cost efficient, lean to operate, scalable access platform to deliver gigabit products. Yeah? Perhaps at some point of time we need to upgrade to terabit products, but I mean this vision holds still true. Cost efficiency and lean to operate. We want to save money with that. We want to become more agile. I'll talk about it in a second. And this engine has also been very often presented. Focus for us is to deliver for DT, FTTH, and FTTB technology. So this is very important. However, this machine, which is located at a central office and consider this to be our CBA incarnation, can also power any other technology, in fact, mobile, DSL. We have a large installed DSL base, which we will probably not swap out that swiftly, and everything coupled with a tight cost model. I'll talk about this. This picture may also be known to some of you folks already. I think we presented it in a similar fashion on the ONS in Los Angeles in March. Again, the whole initiative is a major design to cost program. Design to Cost was kicked off at DT 5 years ago. I had the chance at the time to be one of the fathers of this initiative. It was an automotive company which taught us how to actually get the cost transparency and work together with the suppliers to bring down costs. And this is what it is all about. It's about transparency, first of all. And open source is a wonderful means in creating this very transparency that we need. Open source, not just software, but also on the hardware side, yeah, with all those white boxes. Talk to them. They most likely will do an open book policy with you because they have nothing to hide. Good. Comprehensive cost model. I mentioned this already. Bare metal hardware. I shook already some hands, and perhaps some of the bare metal vendors are also attending this very session. In fact, we built a mini data center at the edge, at the central office. So, and the first use case for this edge data center is broadband internet access. And you can look at it. I mean, it has a leaf spine fabric. We use the top of the rack switch, the leaf, also as the service edge. I'd love to make some advertisement for a call Hans-Jörg Kolbe will hold, I believe, tomorrow on our BNG, a virtual BNG incarnation. We have a virtual BRAS running up there in the top of the rack switch, and we will power the spine switch also to become an LER, so basically mimicking current BNG functionality. And then as the line cards, we want to have line termination, LT, the abbreviation is line termination, both powering XGS-PON and GPON. I mean, these are at the heart, these technologies at the heart for DT. And in the long run, of course, not all are in this very rack in the central office because some will be closer to the customer, so that's why some of the line termination need to be backhauled. And of course, then you put either a DPU for GFast solution or an ONT for FTTH deployments on there. The logic, the Volta driver, and all the other controls pieces that we have, including the management pieces, run on x86 in a Kubernetes network. So, I mean, for the people who attended some SIBA sessions, this should all sound very familiar to you. So this is DT's incarnation in that. Good. Last bullet, I'd love to mention clean IT. It is, in fact, a big IT project, I have to admit. I mean, this is something which I personally discovered over the years, and perhaps it was May this year when I said, okay, actually, it's not networking, it's IT. We do IT here. So clean IT architecture, it gives us a wonderful opportunity to clean up things that have grown over the years and do it right with the principles which I have to admit others have invented. Yeah, it's not DT who invents here something. I mean, this is copy-paste of what other people did before on this planet. Yeah, I modestly have to admit. So we want to, I mean, this is the Las Vegas principle. Hans-Jörg Kolbe belongs to trademark, or he has coined this term, yeah. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. We want to have in our central offices about 1,000 of these. They should work independently. So this is the plan. Good. What have we done so far? But before I come to what we have done, this slide is very important to me because we always should consider, so what was the actual problem that we wanted to solve? Yeah? Coming back to the vision, which I stated in the very beginning. So we said we want to break, I mean, this sounds a little bit more martial, but we want to reduce at least the vendor lock. Vendor lock, once you have whatever in there, it is coupled to your IT, it takes ages to get it out. I mean, bringing in another line card takes a DT today, instead of days, it takes months. So we definitely want to break this vendor lock, get our processes ready to run something like DevOps. I mean, my management is preaching DevOps, and I'm a big fan of that, or site reliable engineering, whatever you name it, yeah? And I do not want to, I'm probably lost when I talk about the differentiators here. But if we have a model where we say, okay, these are our requirements, please, kind vendor, look at them, and at some point of time, you will bring it to your world market release, then 2 years are gone until I can actually see it in my network. So this has nothing to do with DevOps. A model where we are much more agile, have much more grip on the time to market, requires us to go into a more open solution, have other models working together with our vendors. Yeah? We will probably have vendors in there. There is value add, there is business for these vendors, but in a different way than it was before. Automation is a big promise. And yeah, I mean, we look at the data center people. Yeah, they know how to operate data centers. We want to use and copy the same principles for our needs. The idea is really to reduce personnel at some point of time, to do everything automated what could be automated. Time to market, I mentioned already. Today, I'm not going to mention this because it's recorded. How long, I mean, you all know this, if you are an incumbent vendor, how long it takes for you to get an upgrade in your network. Yeah? We're not talking about hours, we're talking about weeks, perhaps even months. Some of our IT competitors do several hundred changes a day, micro changes. So perhaps that's not the aspiration that we should follow 100%, but a change a week, a change a day would be perfect. I mean, this would be differentiate us light years from where we are today. And the fairness in here in this industry is very important. Transparency. Everybody should earn, everybody should have their fair margin, everybody needs to feed their family. But it should be, again, fair. So transparency is the paramount interest that we have. So go down to hardware transparency, software transparency, and open source will help us on that. Open source is not for free, that's an important statement, but it helps us in the transparency. Good, so where are we today? Of course, once we want to start in 2020, something should be running already, and this is where we are today. We are code running, we have multiple PPPoE sessions on merchant silicon, so this is working. We use Kubernetes, we use Volta as it is, yeah, with all the shortcomings that it has right now, but we still have some months to improve things. We focus very much on automation. So today it's already possible in our POD, in our field trial, to plug in a new ONT and then it comes up automatically. To plug in an additional leaf switch and it comes up after 2 minutes, the leaf spine fabric just scales, yeah? So this is really at the heart of us, of our solution. Zero-touch provisioning, automation. So this is already up and running, tick marks. This is also important to sell internally within the company, but also get your colleagues, I mean, in the project, you know, to say, okay, yes, we have achieved this success. This is very important. Good. Everything is documented in a document that's called a feasibility study. This was the major input for an RFQ, which we started in June. So we had described and also talked with many experts about this in about 200 pages about what is our solution really about, a detailed description. And we use this to approach the market and say, okay, dear vendors, would you be willing to help us in bringing this solution on the road? And we finalized this RFQ. I can't talk publicly about it yet because the ink has not dried yet, but we have selected the vendor 10 days ago. So we are serious about it. We have been looking, and now we have selected a co-development partner, someone we jointly develop with, but who is also the one neck to grab, the integrator, to help us in our solution, because we won't do this ourselves. I have forgotten this bit. We work in the open source community, we contribute. I would love to have 20 more people who could also contribute to the community. Unfortunately, we don't, but some achievements we have an OCP spec for a GPON OLT, which was published in September, I believe. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. We held an ONF community event with bare metal vendors, but also with other operators. We really seek alignment, especially in Europe, but of course we also have close ties to our friends over the Atlantic, yeah? Good. What else? Checking on time, I think we're doing well. Special highlights. So this is a portable version or mobile version of our rack, which we use to talk about it on various internal conferences so far. It's not really that mobile because it's 80 kilograms, so you need a van actually to transport it. Yeah, this is our incarnation. It has a couple of servers in there. It has an OLT, a bare metal OLT, an edge-core one, if I may do some advertisement in here, the XGS PON one, and then it has up there a leaf switch and a spine switch and a couple of compute nodes. So this very leaf switch is also the BRAS functionality where the PPPoE sessions terminate. What is the hardware in there? Well, I talked about it. Software, well, the switches are powered by an open network Linux. That is rather straightforward. We use Ubuntu on the servers, use a Kafka bus, Kubernetes. I mean, you can read it for yourself. The color code is basically that you see, okay, the green stuff, this is really taken from the open source community. Not everything is coming from the ONF, of course, like a Kubernetes or Linux. The magenta one, I'm not quite sure whether it can be read from behind, is something where we want to differentiate and where we still think about whether we bring it to the open source community or whether we don't. We haven't made up our mind yet. And the black thing, actually I don't know why there is a differentiation between black and purple or magenta. I will talk about this very bit here, the PPA. this is something which we definitely won't bring to the open source community, which is a kind of differentiating factor because we have built a kind of rail track switch in here. So we call it like this. Let me quickly explain this, this picture. We implemented a two-tiered service edge. Today, our BNG is a monolith. Everything goes to that BNG, terminates there, and need to be forwarded, residential as well as enterprise customers. So we want to use an SDN logic which detects the packet before the service is actually created, detects the packet and says, okay, yes, this is a residential customer of DT. I know that very customer. Or no, it is a wholesale customer from one of our competitors in the German market. I mean, we are regulated. We are the incumbent there. So let's forward it to another service edge. Same we could do possibly for the enterprise market. This is where we could actually leverage the existing BNG for more complex products, so to speak. It was a year ago when our CEO coined the terms potato field and rose garden. He said, I want to have broadband internet access. I mean, this is something like a potato field. Yeah, not beautiful, but I want to harvest cheap as possible. And for the more beautiful and more advanced services where I can actually also charge the customer, I could also afford something that is more elaborate and perhaps more costly. But our use case, again, is to have PPPoE session termination, so giving people broadband internet access at the lowest possible cost on this planet. This is actually our endeavor, and this is what we use and where we use ordinary switches, program them. So this is something which you can download later on. Basically, this explained the logic, what I lightly explained here. So first of all, there is some detection, what kind of customer it is, and then actually the forwarding to the respective service edge. Now I'm repeating myself. The code is currently written in Java, will be ported most likely, but this code is up and running. It is, I mean, once the things are there, you think, yeah, this is certainly not rocket science, but the ideas behind this, I really admire those people who have conceived this very idea. And again, we also filed some patents in here. So it's really a differentiator because imagine, not quite sure where I can go back. Yeah. So a migration, always a big headache for an operator, yeah? But easily, there's 3 errors here. Yeah, the switch is going 3 ways. You could add a 4th one. Just bring in another vendor, and then you can actually migrate customers just by software. There is some beauty in that, especially if you're an operator. I think you can imagine what kind of headache it is. Having a monolith there with all the customers, residential as well as business, in one node is certainly a more advanced topic. So we believe this is really something that will bring DT forward and create value beyond an ordinary SIBA logic, which has enough value by itself, by the way. So next steps, this is the last slide, and then I will open for questions if there's any. We have this very concept running in a field trial. We're constantly working on it. We try to improve ourselves also on a ICD chain, you know, bringing in releases like this. The automation, again, is at the heart of our initiative. The field trial is very important, again, to have this milestone, also to have this, you know, something to celebrate. It's very important for people. Good. I talked already about the things that, yeah, I talked about the integrator. I mean, as DT, we probably will never become an IT company, I believe. You never know. I mean, ask me in 5 years. But I think it's good to have partners and to outsource whatever you understand. We need to ramp up internally resources so that we understand whatever can be outsourced. Otherwise, outsourcing, they trick you again. Again, it's about the transparency. So that's why we bring in partners, because we believe now we understand our solution. That's why we can outsource it to some extent. Good. The productization is now the next step. So this is the level. After the proof of concept is done, feasibility, including scalability, have been shown and proven. Now it's about hardening the solution. And this will take time. We certainly take 12, 18 months until they are there, we believe. We will find roadblocks on our way, I'm quite certain, because we're doing this already for 2.5 years. But it's also important to leverage our ecosystem. And this is not saying because ONF is paying the food here, yeah? So this is really important to onboard other people and to evangelize, basically, the idea that is behind. Because only if there is enough food for everybody, suppliers will come in and offer something, yeah, where they see dollars. I mean, this is the only thing that really makes the world go round. Good. Joint developed technologies. Perhaps the last bit which I would love to mention is, we have many more ideas, yeah? If we would have 20 more people, we could actually leverage more ideas. But the idea is now to focus and deliver. So, and with this sentence, I'd love to finish my monologue here and open up for questions, if there are any. Thanks for listening, first of all.
Questions for Robert? Can I see a question now? Question. When will you see at least 70% of your network business?
I'm not going to answer on that. My communication people asked me not to mention anything on that. It is a good question. We have a plan. We have a cost model that projects the traffic growth to 2030, but I can't tell you when we have reached 70%. So there is a very detailed cost model behind it. I want to go out in a real productive mode by 2020, and then we'll see what the take rate looks like. Ask me in 2 years, please. That is a business value for running and operating a network. So it is, I don't think it is a value for the end customer. Our CFO asked me pretty much the same question 10 days ago, and I gave him an answer which he wasn't really content with, so that's why I'm not going to give it another try with you. I really stick to, yes, it's an operational thing, how you run your network. Again, plugging in an additional service edge. I mean, the code belongs to us. It's something like 10,000 lines of code. That's not the end of the world. Put 2 programmers, smart programmers at it. They can read it. They can add, I believe within days, they can add another service edge path. Because basically this logic, I can't rewind, sorry, this is not going to work for whatever reason. Anyhow, you can plug in another service edge within a day or 2. The logic, how it is designed in DT's network is we have a service control, which was not depicted in here. And basically, you query the service control, and depending on the answer on your line ID, you forward to the respective service edge. So you know it's a wholesale residential customer. That's why it goes that pseudo via. Well, if some BNG breaks, or again, if you want to add something completely new, an IoT service, for instance, yeah, plug it in there, wire it, program the logic, and then you suddenly can divert the traffic to this very service edge. I believe there is a big value in that. Again, we spent DT. In doing migration, we spent hundreds of millions, yeah, going to a new architecture. So this is automation at its best, I believe.
Instead of having to upgrade your existing BNG to support a new service, you can direct it immediately to a new, different piece of hardware, or different software application.
Yeah, it could be a software application even, yeah. There may be something which is, I don't know, doesn't require that much data plane traffic. So an IoT thing, which is highly sophisticated though, better done on x86, you never know. There could be something like this. But for the people who use YouTube and Netflix, of course, we take the hardware accelerated data plane.
Is there a relationship between Open Telecom Cloud, which you presented at OpenStack, and what you're doing here? Is there anything common? Or
I believe it is it's serving a different purpose. Yeah, we use. I mentioned earlier we use a mini cloud, a mini data center at the edge to fulfill the first use cases. And these use cases, broadband internet access, a bread and butter business of every carrier on this planet, pays already the bill. And that is the good thing. So if somebody comes around and says, I have this wonderful idea with a new edge cloud service, these guys could come along, say, okay, bring along 10 servers or whatever you need, you can run your service in here, plug your service in the rack. But I do not care whether you have a green business case or not. It's a wonderful opportunity that we have as DT, so we can even try something out. But this is not my responsibility. This is not the responsibility of Access 4.0.
Another question.
How would you assign the roles of a system integrator versus what you have individual system members do?
Again, this is it's a wonderful question. But ask me in 1.5, 2 years from now, because now we have signed up with this partner, and this is something that needs to be defined on our way. We really, we had a different picture on the BBWF, Hans-Jörg Kolbe presented it at the time. So I drew a married couple, basically, and this is the metaphor that we use in this partnership, yeah? When I married my wife pretty much 10 years ago, we didn't know what we will encounter once we have kids. And other difficulties you have, yeah? I mean, kids are something wonderful, but you know, if they are screaming, you probably all know what it's about. So, and that's why we eyed for a partner, and the roles need to be defined. I want to define the role really on eye level with this partner. So this was one of the main criteria to make the decision with this very partner. But absolutely valid question, thanks, but I can't answer specifically.
Last question, please.
On marriage?
You're looking at zero-touch automation, right?
Yes.
So have you been part of the whole OSAM to ONAP type of use case, which tries to get into some of the automation?
We have looked in that, and we believe that for our use cases, we have a leaner approach than this. We do not use or need the full functionality that ONAP requires. But we talk to the people, and DT is also investigating in that, of course, I mean, like any other carrier. And, but the use cases that we have do not require a fully fledged ONAP.
Yeah, but OSAM actually was focused on just access, broadband access. And it's in some sense separate from ONAP, and they're just trying to figure out the interface. So my question is, are you looking at the OSAM part, or are you not even looking at that part? It's not really.
We are not taking this piece of the community. So what we use here from the ONF is basically Volta. And then, as you have seen on the previous slide, other open source components, and we are done with that.
Okay, thank you, and let's thank the speaker again.
Thank you for having me.